Hello, everybody. It's Kaneki. I come in the name of the Lord. As you know, it talks about the lawlessness, yeah? And the lawless one and the son of perdition, and when he sets up himself at the temple, how the Son of Man will come down and whatnot. And right now, what I wanted to talk about is lawlessness. As you know, lawlessness is a sin, yeah? And anything that is lawless is a transgression, pretty much, right? So, how can anything that is lawlessness be a sin, yet when you are within a freedom, then you have lawlessness? So is freedom sin? And this is where it comes into that whole the whole entire making of one and the same, yet it's not. Yeah, it just equals out, like how Moses had to build a tabernacle, and God said, be sure you do every single thing in accordance to what I told you or what you saw, because it's a shadow to the thing above. And as you go on into the New Testament, it talks about being able to bind what is on heaven on earth and loose whatever is on heaven and earth, and vice versa, right? And so it's like one and one. So lawlessness is a sin and lawlessness is a sin, but one would be in judgment to the world and one would be actually in righteousness. Yeah, that's what righteousness is. Okay, and that's what we are trying to also promote, is an everlasting righteousness, so that you know that your sins are forgiven, so there's an end to sin. Because when you have the righteousness of God, what it does is it allows you to be like the wind, pretty much. Like the Spirit is like the wind, right? To be malleable in the face of certain things, that you may look like a transgressor and be numbered among the transgressors, but you're not, because the Spirit of truth has already convicted the world, and one of those convictions is in righteousness, and one of those convictions is in sin. Yeah? And so when you have the lawlessness that is sin, yeah, you have the lawlessness that is sin that is of the world, right? And that would be kind of like right now how the whole entire governing factions of the law and law enforcement and all those things, they're being radically reformed and changed, right? And however, if we don't live with a law, that's going to be chaos, right? And so a lawlessness would be a sin, and that sin would be transgressive because they're not basing it on Christ, right? And what the Spirit of truth has convicted is that when it judges you in sin, is that you do not believe in the one that God has sent. Yeah. But if you do believe in the one that God has sent, then that sin, that lawlessness is sin, is actually righteousness. And that means that the one he has sent, who is Jesus Christ, yeah, he was made and had no sin, but he was made to be sin for us. And if he is the sin in lawlessness, then that lawlessness is where the law is written on your mind and hearts, and God will no longer remember your sins and forgive all your transgressions from there then until forevermore. And it's called the impudence of righteousness, where there's no sin counted against you. It's a blessing, yeah? And that's where the church, if they can wrap their head around that, but and look around and see that, oh wow, right now there's going into lawlessness, yeah, type of lawlessness of the world, and economies and ecologies and cultures and governing factions and rules and regulations and constitutions, they're all being changed and manipulated. It's all to do with the law, yeah. That's happening right now.